is thinking.
I'm dedicated to it. I can't be stopped.
Earth tones. Earth tones. I love my guitar. Welcome back to the Spirit Campfire. This is a Gibson Birdland made at the Gibson Custom Shop. Look at how beautiful, talking about earth tones. So anyhow, earth tones. The earth has a tone. And you know, perfection. Well, perfection is not achievable. Sure it is. Should I give you examples of perfection? My truth, logic, and common sense as I humbly execute the lessons learned of 76 years clean and sober, where I intently and intensely aggressively pursue evidence to support a belief system prior to actually espousing that belief system. So when I speak truth, logic, and common sense, I was on Eric Bolling. Hey, if we got Rye in there, Rye, where's Eric Bolling's show? I know he does it from the Rav Studios, but there's so many podcasts out there. And I was on Eric Bolling. We just celebrated Truth, Logic, and Common Sense. We celebrated that finally Americans got their heads out of their ass and they voted for a real patriot, a real constitutionalist, a real law and order commander-in-chief. Thank God Almighty that Americans came to the battlefront and voted their conscience instead of the suicidal mistake of feelings. So perfection is available. A secure border would be perfection. No, a secure border. That means when someone tries to invade your country, you just don't let them. You don't process invaders. You turn them away or shoot them. Well, that's outrageous, isn't it? The concept of a secure border in 2025 seems to be outrageous unless you think, man, think. I'll tell you another perfection. Cautiously, with ultra higher level of awareness, heading to the river. It's perfect. I heard this. I had my miracle ear hearing aids and I could hear the birds. And I stopped and I heard off in the distance, crows. And then I heard and I saw a bald eagle yesterday, right here on the Nugent Spirit Wild Ranch, Serengeti Wildlife Paradise. Talking about perfection. Perfection is working your ass off. Perfection is available. Perfection is working your ass off, so when you go to bed at night, you're exhausted and you didn't spend money on aftershave or bling bling or tattoos or piercings or hair dye or chemical warfare or poison food from the FDA and USDA. Perfection is getting a bow and arrow. Perfection is becoming one with the path of your life. Perfection is sharing a campfire with Fred Bear. Perfection is following your dad in the Manistee National Forest as a toddler. And just by following my father in the woods with my bow and arrow, It was a little tiny bow and arrow. I think I might have had suction cup arrowheads, not to be confused with my schwackers. And perfection was learning that God gave me everything I need. That's perfection. Just the realization that there's a perfect gift of life and awareness and intellect and spirit. And then you discover the mystical flight of the arrow, Barak, and you get rid of toxic syllables at every opportunity. Yeah, preferably a Muslim that was not born in America, preferably a man who fanned the almost imperceptible embers of racism and brought racism back. You know that Barack Obama? And perfection is using your gifts from God, taking good care of them. No drugs, no alcohol, no poison, no tobacco. I did chew on a cigar last week as I was shooting my machine gun. And when you have brass rainbows, Remington ammo, brass rainbows, it's good to chew on a cigar and play Sergeant Rock. That's perfection. Does that seem like a bit of hypocrisy? Not really, because I don't really smoke the cigar. I just light it, get it red and glowing at the ends, take a slug, and then shoot my machine gun. That's perfection. So perfection is available. Perfection is discovering that life is your choice of path. The path you choose is yours. Good sleep, good nutrition, adequate exercise, keep the body functioning. I celebrated 36 years with Shemaine. We had an anniversary party and the body was functioning. Oy vey. Having a good time. See, just being here with me, this is perfection. Being silly and defiant and having fun, perfection. The wild boar sausage I cooked this morning and shared with Coco and Sadie and Jackson. Oh, Coco, Sadie, and Jackson are perfection. Being a lover of dogs, taking care of your dog. Look at these kids. Look at Jackson. He's so proud. He brought Dad a big old Canadian greenhead mallard. And Sadie brought me a mallard. Took her time, but she brought to me. And Coco splooshing out into the pond, bringing me back a big old mallard. Perfection. Duck hunting. Perfection. Showering your soulmate with attention and doing the dishes and doing the vacuuming and the laundry, cleaning the filter in the dryer, cleaning the vacuum after you've vacuumed. Perfection. It's simple, but it all comes down to the choice of the path of your life, which can be epitomized in archery. And you coordinate your hand-eye coordination. Mr. Right hand trigger finger is in charge. Oh! Ah. I know it's only, whoa! All kinds of artillery hitting the dirt. All right, I know it's only 10 feet away, but look at that arrow, dead center in the orange square. Can you see that's a boning arrow? It's actually a Nugent zebra arrow with the boning veins put together by the great Cliff Toro. But see, it's all about that moment. No matter how ugly, no matter how much pain and suffering might be available, and there's a lot available, do not underestimate the mystical flight of the arrow, especially bow hunting, to get the ultimate diet, to get the ultimate food. What am I doing here? Is that right? That's right. Tilt down a little bit. Okay, yeah. Get that shirt. Shemaine got me a nice shirt. So perfection is available. Being silly and having fun, snuggling dogs and grandkids, calling your sister and telling her you love her, sending a text to Fleetwood, Louisa, Sasha, Toby, Heather, Chantel, and Rocco, and telling them that I love them. That's perfection. This is perfect. I don't know how they do this, but this is from my friend who loved me, Joe Roberts in Pennsylvania gave me this. So seek perfection. And you know how you get to perfection? You got to think. Think, man, think. And I would recommend that the Texas Parks and Wildlife finds somebody that can think and try to get their conscience up and moving. Because they're still on a jihad to ruin conservation in Texas with their CW. Chronic wasting disease is a lie. More deer will be killed on I-94 today in Michigan than have died from chronic wasting disease. And they're spending tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars to hire people to study this that doesn't need to be studied. It's been studied ad nauseum, ad infinitum. Chronic wasting disease has never hurt a deer herd, and people can't get chronic wasting disease even from tainted meat, which is like 0.0001% of the deer they've tested. So Texas Parks and Wildlife, is there anybody there with a conscience? They're studying now to pass these rules that are so anti-American, so anti-Texas, so anti-freedom. Did we lose something over here? See my laptop going berserk. Are we still on here? Who's the guy in my ear? Is that Ryan? Hi, Tony. People love this because it's raw and spontaneous. It reminds me of Soupy Sales. Hey, Tony, are you familiar with Soupy Sales? Come on, Soupy Sales. He had black tooth and white fang, and rah, 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 rah. And then he'd go to the door to get a loaf of Wonder Bread, which is poison, and there'd be a naked woman behind the door with a loaf of Wonder Bread between her legs, and Soupy Sales had to grab it and try to keep a straight face. And, of course, keeping a straight face should be everything against what you want to stand for. I'll be back with no more straight faces in just a minute.